At the end of the First World War, Joseph Goebbels began to break with Catholicism, turning to Fyodor Dostoevsky's concept of God, but under the influence of Oswald Spengler, he arrived at atheism. In his diary on October 27, 1923, Goebbels stated that it was necessary to separate from his God. In his diary on December 29, Goebbels says, "Here at home, nobody knows anything about spiritual needs. Here man lives on bread alone. I am the bad guy here, the renegade, the apostate, the outcast, the atheist, the revolutionary." Goebbels wrote in his diary on March 13, 1924, "I am dealing with Hitler and the National Socialist movement and will have to do so for a long time. Socialism and Christ. Ethical foundation. Free from ossified materialism. Back to dedication and God." However, after getting to know the National Socialist German Workers' Party better, Goebbels noted in his diary on March 15th, "Perhaps the goal is right, but the ways do not convince me. And the Christianity of these gentlemen has little to do with Christ." Goebbels wrote in his diary on May 16th, "Instead of the despair and depressive skepticism of the past year, I have found faith in the German nation and spirit again. Now I am strong and look forward to redemption more fervently than ever." During this period, Goebbels began writing his novel Michael Vormann, whose main character was an autobiography of himself and his friend Richard Flisch's. His character Michael Vormann was a German patriot, anti-bourgeois, and an atheist. Goebbels complained in his diary on July 30th, "No stimulus, no enthusiasm, no faith. Wait, if only I knew what. Out of self-deception, I send my Michael from editor to editor. None of them accept it. Surprising." Goebbels in his diary on October 16th, 1928 asks, "What does Christianity mean today? National Socialism is a religion. All we lack is a religious genius capable of eradicating obsolete religious practices and putting new ones in their place. We lack traditions and rituals. One day soon, National Socialism will be the religion of all Germans." In his diary on May 12, 1937, Goebbels tells of his meeting with Adolf Hitler to discuss the question of the Catholic Church. He welcomes the radical turn in the trials of the priests. He doesn't want the party to become a religion or be elevated to God. That's why he's in strong disagreement with Himmler. "We must bend the churches to us and make them our servants. Celibacy must also disappear. Church property will be taken away, and no man will study theology before the age of 24. In this way, we will take the best from the next generation. The orders will be dissolved. The church's right to teach will be taken away. Only then will we subdue them in a few years' time. Then they will eat out of our hands." Goebbels, speaking at the Regensburg ceremony on June 6 in front of the bust of Anton Bruckner in the Valhalla Hall, challenged the ideas that Bruckner was an Austrian composer sustained by a deep Catholic spirituality. For Goebbels, sentimental descriptions such as maker of God's music or singer of Our Lady should be rejected, because Bruckner could not fully express himself as a church composer, as he argued, but had long since broken all confessional ties and was rooted in German humanity's sense of the heroic world. Goebbels in his diary on April 7, 1938 recorded, "The Bishop of Berlin is violently opposed to the vote. Let's not pretend that nothing happened. Black people will never change. Sooner or later, we'll have to get rid of the priestly international too. This is Rome, an international that must be annihilated." In his diary on July 23, 1944, Goebbels said of his meeting with Hitler the day before, "I had the feeling that I was standing before a man who works under the hand of God." The fact that he states that he only had the feeling that Hitler worked under the hand of God rather than stating that he was sure of it shows that he didn't believe in God, because if he did, the way he was in love with Hitler, he would be sure that Hitler worked under the hand of God. Goebbels in his diary on February 10, 1945 complained, "Himmler has now published a relatively positive circular to the supreme authorities of the Reich on the situation of the Wistel Group. He states that the weather has arrived and is helping us extraordinarily, and adds that the Lord God has not disappointed his brave German people. However, in my opinion, this Lord God is a little hard-hearted. Because of what we've done in the last 4 years, he would have to accommodate us more than just through the thaw. For example, if I look at our evacuation situation, it has nothing to do with a divine coincidence.